All right,
Uh,
Josh Smith here at my Flat 5 Studios. Today's guest is a good friend of mine and one of my favorite guitar players and one of the most workingest cats I know. You've probably seen him on all sorts of shit. Man, I'm trying to think who I actually saw you on the road with first. I can't remember, but the last few years he's toured a lot with Lady Gaga and Rihanna. You see him on American Idol. Man, where did we meet first? I don't even know. But anyways, we'll get into that. He's
sure.
one of the baddest cats I know. The one of the most well versed guitarists and musicians. Everybody, please welcome Tim Stewart.
Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you,
Not much.
Josh. I'm a huge fan,
Oh, come
always,
on.
bro.
Yeah, where did
I
we
think
meet
I, I think
first?
I, I think at Nam, bro. I think I saw you walking by, and I was already like, you know, just a fan. So I was like, yo, Josh. And I think from there, I think that's the first time we met, and that was years ago. That was like maybe shit, like probably 7, 8 years ago, maybe
Oh,
somewhere
sure.
around
Yeah, at
there,
least. Yeah, yeah.
9. I don't know, maybe longer. It's funny. The older I get, the years get super murky. But yeah,
Yeah, man. Dude, you have
yeah,
such a
man. And
you have such a long list of credits, man, and you've done so much. But I like to start all these interviews by kind of asking everybody what their very beginning was and what their family situation was as far as music goes. I
for
don't
sure.
come from a musical family, so it was pretty just random that I got the guitar put in my hands. How did it happen for you? I don't really know your story. How'd the guitar end up in your hands?
Well, I was raised in the Bay Area. I was born in Arkansas, and then we
Okay.
lived in Oklahoma. Then when we moved to the Bay Area, we went to where my grandparents were, and my grandpa has a church there. Um, and my uncle's a pastor. My dad sang and played. My uncle played. My cousins played and sang, and we just all kind of learned in the church, you know. And I was always surrounded by it because of my dad. He just always into music. And even this weekend, he turned 75, and he plays in a western kind of like western swing kind of honky tonk country proper country band in Texas. So we got to go and see. He did a gig on the 24th for his birthday, and it was killer, man. And he plays bass and sings. So I kind of was just always surrounded by it in that way. And on the other side of it, I had an older sister who was just really into, at that time, heavy rock and heavy, like in the Bay, it was like thrash metal was really popping around there, late 80s. And yeah, I just kind of had those two worlds at the same time really happening for me. So I got the bug pretty early.
Nice. And
Yeah.
so how old were you when you first actually picked up a guitar?
I think I was, when I got serious about it, I was around 12.
Mm.
Um, I kind of like messed around here and there, but not really. But when I was about 12, I really kind of dove into it, you know. But, yeah, I would say. And from then, it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Well, it's once it clicks, it's just it takes over. At least for so many of us, it's like, well, there's no going back now. After this, you're a different person. After it
It's
clicks, and this kind of becomes part of your identity. Did you have any music in school at any time back then, or was it all just family stuff?
no, I got into some lessons with a friend, and then I ended up going to college. Yeah, I went to school up there, Cal State Hayward. I think it's called East Bay something now. And there I studied classical and jazz. And yeah, did that for a couple of years. I kind of after the classical thing, I kind of just put it down after my last recital. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not gonna be doing this because I was
Yeah.
already like on the my mind. I like so many other things, and I really enjoy playing with people. And that's the one thing I realized with that. It was a very kind of a solitude type situation. You're playing a recital by yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Like, man, I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh man.
Yeah. Then
Well, the Bay Area, you're right. It's like the scene up there. You had metal and all that thrash stuff, but also I mean you're playing in church, but then there's also that enormous church scene up there, of
yeah.
historical value. How much around that were you?
Well, my first real like gig where I got paid for was Tremaine Hawkins, which was
Okay,
cool,
so yeah, there
man.
you go.
And I did that for a little bit. But yeah, man, the Bay. I remember I used to go watch. I don't know how old I was. I was out of high school. We used to go watch Charlie Hunter. I've never met him, but we used to go watch him in this band called T.J. Kirk. And
Mm,
then there was another guy, Will Bernard, up there that we used to watch. And it's just like this. Could do things from heavy to bands like Primus to people like Charlie Hunter and then Brown Fellinis and all these different. It's just like this wide array of music up there. I was just
yeah,
super thankful to be like just a fly on the wall for those things. Yeah,
yeah,
man.
absolutely. So as you're coming up and you're learning, taking lessons, playing in church, when do you start to know, that this is kind of what you want to do for life? And how did your parents kind of feel about that once you kind of realized it?
Man, I think I knew pretty early. I went to this. My sister snuck me into this show when I was about 13 or 14. This band Testament and Alex Skolnick,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I was like, oh man, this is crazy. I think this is definitely what I want to do. And I think from there I was pretty driven for the rest of the till now, just this is exactly what I want to do. And I remember when I got out of high school, my dad was like, well, we want you to go to school and you should study music, do music. If that's what you want to do. I said, all right. And he definitely gave me the option, and I tell a story to some of my friends often. He said, this is how you have to approach it. You can go with me, we can go work over here, or you can go in your room and you're going to work that same amount of hours. You're not getting a ticket for a free ride. You're going to go and approach it like it's a real, like you're an athlete, like you're anything. Like you go in there and you play and you listen and you learn and so I think I had that pretty early on instilled in me from him.
Nah, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people who on the outside, the same people who ask us, "Oh, you're a musician. Well, what do you actually do for a living?" Those people who ask us, they
Yeah.
don't understand the whole 10,000 hours thing.
Yeah.
When I listen to you play, and everybody else, all our friends, that's what I hear. I hear all that time that you sat on the end of your bed listening to records and playing music and practicing, and that's the best part about this. But it's no different from someone who becomes a scientist, and does that, or
It's
someone who
true.
becomes a lawyer. It's the same thing. It's just we were passionate about this, and that's where our time went. And it doesn't necessarily mean it had to be in a school. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
agree. It is a weird thing though, it's come full circle for me. I have a daughter, well, not now, 15, and everyone asks me now, like, well, what she want to do? I said, well, she wants to do music, and she plays all the time. She's working on her music all the time. She's putting in, like she knows what she wants to be and knows what she wants to do. But it's
Yeah.
funny to hear from different people, like, well, is that really a possibility? Like, are you actually telling me this?
Well, it's funny. Do you ever find yourself having to temper your enthusiasm? Because I'm sure you're excited that that's what she wants to do. Do you ever
Yeah,
find yourself having to not, like, maybe try to say things that you don't want to say? Like, well, you should go at least know how hard it's going to be and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
I try not to. I do try to give her the idea that it takes a lot of hard work, and it's definitely an up and down journey when you follow your passion like that. It's the highs and lows are pretty crazy. You know what I mean? So
Oh, yes.
as long as you're prepared for that, then you're good. And if that's what you want to do, and that's what you want to do, and me being around her all the time, I know that's what she wants to do, and I know it's almost like not an option. It's more like
Yeah.
it's pulling her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the
So
same way
it
we
is
felt. My
same
my
way.
son is also 15 years old, and he's actually had a lot of success as an actor. He's been in a lot of things and on TV shows, and but at first when he got into it, I was kind of like, "Oh, I don't know about this," and he would say how much he loved it, and I would see him working on his lines and practicing the craft, and he would say he knows this is what he wants to do, and he doesn't want to go to college, and he's already had a lot of success, but I had to catch myself
Right.
because I would be thinking, well, you don't know what you really want to do, and how you're going to feel. Because wait a minute, I was gigging when I was 12 years old, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and it would have been
Yeah.
so hypocritical of me not to support him in that way.
It's crazy though, right?
It is
You
crazy.
flip positions in a way. Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
is
trippy, man.
crazy. It is crazy. Okay, so when you finished high school and went to college, what was you said you did classical and jazz at college, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I was a pretty
Were
bad jazz player, as I am now. I was pretty bad.
Well, what's funny
I,
is you talk about going to see Alex Skolnick play. He's probably a better jazz player than both of us now,
yeah,
which is hysterical.
I know it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, man. Even with that, I saw the writing on the wall when I got out of school. I was like, okay, classical definitely not. And then the jazz thing, I was like, I still am enamored by it, and people that can really play that way. And I've always tried, but I feel like I don't know. There was just something there that it was hard for me to get over this, this hump. I could just never get over this hump, dude. I don't know what it is, but it's. I'm in awe of people that can. I mean, I'm like a super fan. I try to see everybody I can that
Yeah,
plays jazz in, but I knew then that okay, I don't know if I'm gonna survive. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'm good enough to do that. You know what I mean?
right,
In
right.
jazz, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
When did you start, making some money playing? Like, and we all know that feeling of, the first real paycheck you get from playing guitar. It's like you're already hooked anyways, but then once you realize this might actually work and you can make a living doing this, it's like the greatest feeling. What was the first gigs like for you?
man, I'm trying to think. So the first that might have happened for me after I moved to LA. I moved to LA in around 2000. In the Bay, I'd done a bunch of church gigs and like kind of you know bar or local, just all the local the local gigs, restaurants, weddings, the whole deal. But when I came to LA, I think my first really big kind of pop tour paying thing was Jessica Simpson. That was around 2000, 2001.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think I was just like, oh wow, I could, some possibility, to
Yeah.
really do it. Because before then, it's like you teach lessons, you play some of these gigs, you do some of this, you do some of this, which I guess I still do now, but it was just different then. But yeah, I think that was the top. That was the first one. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
for
and
sure.
I mean, we both moved to LA around the same time because I moved in 2002. But I remember, the first tour I went on, like you
Yeah.
said, like just as a sideman guy and getting a real paycheck like that, as opposed to just the money you get at the end of the night every gig when you're playing those local gigs and when you're, teaching lessons and doing this. And it felt so legitimate. Like, I fucking did it. I can't believe this, and just going to be the rest of my life now. I'm just going to keep getting
Yeah.
paychecks and going on the road. And obviously,
Yeah.
we know it doesn't just work
Yep.
like that. It's up and down and crazy, but such a great feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was, man. It's very validating.
It's very validating, man. And I mean, so once you got into that groove, it's kind of never let up for you. I would say. I mean, yeah, you're hustling like crazy. We always have to be hustling, especially doing what you do. Going from session to session, gig to gig, everything. But it's always you still got to jump around. Oh shoot, I lost you. There you are. There you
Oh, I'm
are.
back. Oh yeah, sorry.
You're back.
Yeah, man. Um, yeah, man. I feel like I'm, been very fortunate. I've tried to, like you say, hustle as hard as I can and learn as fast as I can. Just and not even just musically, but just in terms of what it takes to really to maintain. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the good thing about being a musician too, I mean, from my experience, is like I have this constant idea that I'm just a fan. Like there's so many levels, there's so many places of my playing, of my professionalism, of everything that I need to get to still. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. Like I have a constant opportunity to improve, and I don't know. I've just always felt like that, and been very lucky to get a lot of opportunities to do that. You know what I mean?
How did you feel when you first got to LA? How much growing did you feel like you had to do immediately, to kind of get into that professional mindset, because there's a lot of things you can't learn until you get thrown into those situations, like stuff about your gear and about your
Oh
the
yeah,
setup of your guitars and about being a professional, being on
yeah,
time, all that, just setting your alarm clock right and all that dumb shit,
yeah.
like, yeah, I think guys don't necessarily know how much that is such a big part of the job, not just doing the playing right.
Yeah, it's huge, man. I mean, I had a couple like rough moments early on because I didn't understand it at all. I got one amp, I got one pedal. I'm just ready to rock. Let's go. Well, yeah, this is not
Yeah.
going to cover this palette of music that we have here. I'm
Yeah,
like,
and you're
wait,
having to
what?
play some parts that Landau played or Michael Thompson played, and it's like I don't know how to get that
That's what I
tone.
mean.
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, bro. That is a eye opening experience right there for sure. I remember I did one thing I covered for man, I don't know how that happened, but I covered for Paul Jackson Jr. one time. And I would just bro, I just got to LA. I didn't know jack shit. And I think I showed up a little late. Something had happened. Yeah, I haven't been late to anything since then. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got pretty much reamed in front of everybody, and like it was pretty interesting, man. Even like chart reading, I went to school, but chart reading is a bit different. We didn't learn how to read and adjust that fast in that kind of way. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I know early on with that was a bit of a struggle for me
Well, yeah, especially because we're not
because like
going in.
jazz charts, you just kind of comping.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not going
Oh
unless it's
yeah,
a film date. We're not going in and just reading down a ton of stuff.
yep,
We're going in and making up a bunch of stuff that fits this structure. And yeah, that's a
yeah.
skill that has to be honed. You gotta learn that skill. Yeah.
You do, man, and I think that's over time. Yeah, it was pretty eye opening. That was eye opening for me as well. So
Wh-
yeah, I think
When
it's good though.
so when you started diving in and expanding your skills with that, how important was it to you when you started going on the road a lot to nail like the parts and tones from the record? Were you like super into just getting it exactly like the record, or was it more like always putting your own flavor on it?
I think it's a combination for me. I definitely believe in the parts on the record. Um, that's something I'm still working on. Really, that's a constant. I think early on I heard the notes of the parts on the record, and then later as I went along, I started to really focus more on the tones.
Hmm.
Um, but I always felt like I had to give a little bit of my own thing on it too. But
Well,
I do idol, and I see my friend Greg, man, that dude can play like, man, it's the exact tone, the exact part. I'm just like, I don't know if I've ever gotten that skill. I got to work on that, man. I've been working on that a lot in the last 5 or 6 years, really trying to just improve that. You know what I mean?
interesting. Yeah, because it's when I first moved here and I started meeting cats who worked a lot. I started to notice like kind of two approaches, like the guys who, not that they weren't great players, they're incredible players, but I maybe couldn't pick them out of a lineup. But they were way better than me at learning other people's parts and the
Yeah,
tones. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
then the guys who were completely their own thing, and not that they couldn't learn the parts off the record and play the notes correctly and everything, but they still just always sounded like themselves. You know what I mean?
right.
I always fell more into that category, and I think that's why I always got less work, but gigs that lasted longer because they hired me because they liked what I did. Things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure, man. I mean, that is a thing I always think about like, now. I'm trying to figure that that marriage out,
Yeah.
you know. But I definitely didn't want to be a person that lost his. Because I feel like I do have a kind of a way that I approach playing, you know, like you do, man. You have your own sound. Like
Yeah.
that's why you're there, you know. It's pretty trippy though, because some gigs don't really let you do that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Well,
like,
dude, we all
ah,
know we've been on those gigs where, it's a nice tour and a nice bus and it's cushy, but the music is you're completely on autopilot for the. You could be
oh
on
yeah,
autopilot for 3 months and never play a different note. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
oh yeah. I've done plenty of those, man. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a weird. I mean, that's the old saying. Like, what is it? Like, it has to have three things, like either good music, good people, or good money, good people. But it would never. If it has all three,
it'll
then
be
it's
all
like
three.
the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
trifecta.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, because it's weird. I don't want us to sound like we're complaining about making money as guitar players. We're not, but it is like you have to kind of be grateful for the fact that yes, you're getting paid to play guitar, but it doesn't mean every situation is just like some dream gig. It's not. Even if you're flying around in private jets and staying at Four Seasons and have great catering and a great guitar tech and all that, it still could be a pretty fucking boring gig.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure, for
yeah,
sure. Because
absolutely.
at the end of the day, you still love playing, man. I'm doing it for the love of playing. You know?
Yep,
That's the
exactly.
that's where that gets weird.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I shouldn't be complaining, but fuck, I hate this.
yeah. But the worst day that we have on a tour like that is better than any day we'd have working at Target or
Hell
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
hell yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah,
Yep.
man.
Yeah, I remember
Did
I
you?
tried to complain one time a long time ago. My pops was like, oh, "Okay," because he was he's a vet, so he was in Vietnam. He's like, "Oh yeah, are you out there digging ditches?" Like, nah. Like, okay, I think you're good.
Think you're all right. Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
think you're all right, buddy.
Yeah. So, how did you find time in all the work that you've done over the years, playing with all these artists and playing on all these records and stuff, to get some of your own music out there? Because in the last 5, 7 years, I don't know, when did you start the band Knives?
We started that in about 14, somewhere around
Yeah,
there,
so
2014.
7 years or something like that.
Uh-huh.
You've been out playing gigs with those guys and putting out records, and that's your project, your guys' project. And I know personally how hard it is to make time to do your thing when you're busy and you're making a living and you have responsibilities and kids and houses and I mean with the things we have as adults.
Yep.
And how much of it was just that you had to do it because it just made you happy, and how much of it was, driven just by free time and things like that.
I think it's for me, it's all a balance. I think I had to do it. That's the reason I came to LA was I joined a band called Fourth Avenue Jones, and we had a deal, and we were gonna go, man. We was ready to go, um, and just as things happen, we get dropped. We get another deal. We tour in a van across the states. That doesn't work out. Um, so I think my mind was always, well, I always want to have a vehicle where I put my own music out,
Hmm.
and I did after that I was pretty like depressed. So I just did not depressed, but kind of like done with that idea. So I just worked a lot as much as I could and kind of just had it in my mind, like, I'm just going to just play for people, be a sideman. It's going to be awesome, be great. And then around 2012 or 13, I started feeling like, man, I need to put music out. I have so many ideas, so much, and especially the situation being around Ricky and just the opportunity to make music with him and my friend Jay and Spanky, just to do things it just kind of presented itself to me like, this is the vehicle. You need to do this. You have to do this. So it's hard, man. It's really hard to maintain that. And I have another band I've started in the last 2 years with my partner Johnny, and that one is singing, which I've just started doing last year. So I've just been writing, singing, and I just feel like I always have to have an outlet, a vehicle to make music, and the amount of effort it takes is tremendous sometimes, but it's necessary. I think. I mean, you do it, man. You're like you're you're doing tours, and I know that's, man, it took a lot of effort, time, energy. It's crazy, you know what I mean? But it's so worth it when you're up there doing your own thing, playing the music that's the nearest and closest to you, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, you know. So it's like when I get calls for gigs or something, most of the time my first instinct for the last 10 years has been no. I'm not going. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a signed band anymore. I don't want, and it's not that I don't want to make money and play guitar and be on the road. It's that this makes me happier, doing my thing.
Mm,
And even though it's so much harder to, to do full time and to make a living on, the fulfillment that comes from getting close to making a living from it and things like that is the best feeling. It's like, yeah, I have to do it. I kind
yep,
of have no other choice. Not if I want to be in a good mood and be happy and be me.
yeah, you fulfilled, man. That's why I said there's a balance there, and I was so out of balance for so long, and I mean, I can see it in just all different areas of my life, but I think it stemmed from that, you know.
Yeah. No, dude,
Honestly,
that's 100% the reason.
but yeah,
Basically, 10 years ago, I stopped going on the road and doing as many sessions. I think it's just because, number one, it was so much of this, and when it's
yep,
great, it's great, and when it's not great, it's not great. But I could feel myself being an asshole, and not like really, but just not being like happy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I just had to do something about it. Yeah. Uh,
yeah, man. That's
uh,
great, man. I really feel like that's been a saving grace for me and for a lot of people that do that, man. It's amazing, you know.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
I gotta
let's
send you some of my new stuff actually too.
please do. I
After
want
we
to
get
hear you
off.
singing.
Yeah, it's glad they have autotune nowadays.
Nice. Nice. I want to hear Tim Stewart sound like T-Pain
Yes.
or Cher maybe. I don't know. You probably played with both of those people. Have you?
No, I haven't. That'd
Dude,
be fun.
let's jump into the 10 questions.
All right.
All right, number 1. When you started learning and playing, do you remember the first riff or lick or little thing that once you figured it out, it like set the hook? Like, I can't believe I learned this. And we all know that feeling. Your eyes just light up like, I got it. And there's no going back. Do you remember what that was?
I remember the first riff I learned how to play, and it was Paranoid, I think, by
Ah,
Black Sabbath. So I remember thinking like, and it was just kind of like the power of it. I was like, oh,
yeah.
yeah, this is killer, bro.
Yeah, that would be wow. Like to that be the first one that would hook you like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's a vibe. Oh man. What about do you remember the first solo that you ever felt like, you had to learn note for note? It was this is the one.
Man, I'm trying to think. I would say that would probably be. I'm trying to think of which one, but it's definitely an Eddie one.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and this is years later, but it's random. I think it was like Hot for Teacher or something like that. I think it was off of the '84 record because that was one of the first bands I really heard too. Because of my cousins, they were like diehard Van Halen fans, man. So I always kind of had that in the back of my mind. But I think it might have been that.
Nice. That's
But
not an
then
easy
later
solo,
though,
man.
one of the well, I don't think I played it correctly though. I would say, oh, something I really played well. I don't know about that. Either of those. I think when I was in college though, like I transcribed a George Benson solo he did on Take Five, and I was like, man, that was one of the ones where I was pretty proud of. That one that I played, I think I at that time played pretty correctly.
Nice.
The other ones might have been loose.
What's crazy to me is a lot of those solos that we learn in those most formative years, at least me, I'll never forget them. Like I could sing
Oh,
them
that's
by heart
crazy.
still now. You know,
Mhm.
20 years could go by, I'll probably pick it up and take me one time through to play it again. You know what I
That's
mean?
amazing, man. That's my friend Ricky. Same, man. And I feel like I don't have that at all. Like I could, I mean, there's certain things that maybe there's certain things I can recall from them, but for the most part, man, I feel like it's just kind of melded all into one like big song. It's like what
Do
just
you remember,
happened?
I mean, with all the tours and the stuff that you do, is your memory like can you remember arrangements and stuff? Like if a year goes by and you go back on a gig that you used to do you remember like live because I never
No,
forget any of that stuff.
that's incredible, dude. I know, no, I can remember bits and pieces. Um, and once we play it, and I'm like, okay, that's how that goes. But like,
Yeah.
it's my retention's gotten pretty like murky of late. It might be the amount of whiskey I drink. I'm
Yeah.
sure that plays a part.
Crazy, man. What's the first thing that you play most times when you pick up a guitar? Like do you have just like autopilot where your hands just go somewhere and play something?
Yeah, man. I think I would say I kind of have like a couple of licks that I play. Usually kind of bluesy, jazzy type licks that I kind of veer toward and chords. Um, E chord pretty much right out the bat.
Of course. Yeah.
Ding. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
weird. What about like when you're, at a gig that's a fly-in, one off, and you got backline? Do you have a thing that you do when you hit standby and check your tone to make sure it's okay, that everything's going to work, that covers all
Oh,
the
for sure.
bases?
For sure. Yeah, yeah. I do. I definitely do just some open chords. Make sure I got like some kind of those are nightmare experiences for me. I've had some terrible ones, so I'm
As we
I'm
all
always
have.
nervous right away. But yeah, I use
Yeah.
some open chords and then check my pedals to make sure I got some kind of you know decent tone. Man, honestly, it's yeah, it's more just prayer.
Yeah.
Please be good.
Please
Yeah,
be good. Yeah, exactly. Especially wherever you are in the world where you're going to have no other option anyway. So, yeah.
yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Number four. What key, style, song, groove, whatever, do just randomly pops in your head the most? Like for me, like, when I'm driving or cooking or walking around, I kind of very often have a shuffle or a swing, playing something, normally B flat or something like that. Something swinging.
Basically,
Like, what do you have that pops in there all the time?
in my mind, oh man, I think probably like just some kind of older soul music, man. I think that's kind of the thing that is oddly enough just really in me. Um, but I listen to a lot of things, man. It just depends on my mood. I have a lot of punk rock in me too.
Yeah, yeah, I know you do.
Yeah, but I think for just like even playing wise, kind of thing I first go to is just kind of an older soul,
So,
you know.
being as working as you are and diverse as you are you able to, when a piece of music comes on that you've never heard before, can you just listen to it for enjoyment, or do you immediately start analyzing it or thinking, oh, this is what I would play now on top of this? Because that's normally what we think is when we get brought into a room. Here, put this on. Go ahead. What are you going to add? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's your first thought a lot of the times?
I guess it's that, but I don't know. I think recently in the last few years, I've kind of thought more. I don't know. I try to hear. I'm not. I don't know. I don't want to sound pretentious, man. It sounds weird, but I want to. I kind of am trying to listen for. something beyond just my immediate part. You know what I mean? Like, okay, is it something that big and that's going to be at the forefront of the song, or is it like something very little that would help move this along? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and even if it's that, then I think that's a little more difficult sometimes. Because if it's like something that's at the forefront of the song, then it's a little bit, the song's kind of more, it's easier to place that in a way. But if it's
Sure.
something that's small and kind of, like Michael Thompson, those man, the textures and things like that, that is like wildly difficult to do, I think.
Mhm.
To do it well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place with each thing, man. Depends on the mood for sure. Sometimes I just want to like play over everything as well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, take that
It's
whole
funny.
section out and let me just rip.
Well, it's funny during the pandemic. Excuse me. One of the things I've tried to do more of is just like sit down and listen to music because just to listen
Yeah.
to music. And in fact, it led me to like get out of my studio and go back in the house and set up a little, just couple speakers listening area in the house where it's
Yeah.
not work. I don't have a guitar near me. I just sit down and listen. And I actually then I went and got another vinyl player finally. And that really has made me listen more every day. I've probably listened more just to listen in the last 10 months than I have in years. And man, it's made my attitude much better.
Hell yeah, man. Same dude. We got a vinyl here now, and that's exactly what we do. We put the record on, and it's a moment. It's almost like the equivalent of sitting down and watch a show or do something that I was always doing before, but I would never do it with music. I would never
Yep.
just sit down and just say, "This is the time that I'm going to listen to this record or this thing." You know what I mean? So we did the same. We
Mhm.
put a speakers up, the receiver. We got the vinyl, and it's really. I think listening is such a huge thing that you kind of move past in a way at some point in the stage of musicianship and learning. But at some point, you have to come back to it and realize that that is essential, man.
Yeah.
It's you have to be a fan. You have to love it. You have to really be able to express yourself in any kind of pure way. You have to have that in you still. You know what I mean?
Well, it's easy for us to not even know that we're forgetting it because
Oh
we're
yeah,
still in it all day long. I'm in it
yeah,
all day, playing my guitar, working on music, doing something music. But it's
yep.
not the same as like that fan listening to, like being a fan and just listening to music. And
I agree.
I didn't realize how much I missed it until I started doing it again.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome, man. I love that, dude.
Nice, nice.
Yep.
All right, number 5. When did you feel like you maybe started to find your voice on the guitar? Was there any like clear cut moments where something clicked and you thought, I'm going to go more this direction? Like this sounds like me, I'm going to follow this or anything like that?
Yeah, I think pretty soon after I got to LA, man, I started kind of realizing that there's a couple of things that I would focus on more, and it was kind of starting to put me into a place where I could have my own voice in a way, you know. Um, so I'm saying maybe like yeah, maybe like around the early 2000s, around there.
Okay.
Uh,
And was it
there
driven
we go.
by like things that just started to come out in your playing, or were you making conscious choices? Like I can remember, hinting on something and just literally forcing myself to, well, I got to do more of that. Like I never heard that from somebody else. Like, do you remember it kind of feeling that way, or?
Man, I think I had more of a I don't know. I don't know if it was like an exact moment. I just think I started a progression toward like this is how I ingest this music. This is how I ingest this thing, and this is how I want it to be, perceived. You know what I'm saying? Like from
Mhm.
me, like, and that, I think that was hard for me to do in terms of like having to learn other everybody else's stuff. And that's always been one of my pet people. We want you to sound like this guy, like this, which is you have to from time to time, but I always have kind of since around that time, I've always tried to at some point, with even within that, have my own little style, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy, especially when
No, it's
a
not.
lot of your time is spent playing other people's parts. It's not easy to do your thing always. Yeah.
It's not easy, man, at all. But I think coming from our era, though, I think it was. I think about some of the players now, not to be like, oh man, I remember when I was young, but I think when I was younger, it was championed to be different. That was kind of that was the goal.
Yeah.
Like you wanted to be your own thing in so many ways. So it is kind of hard to maneuver in a realm where you have to learn people's parts and stuff and still maintain your identity. It's pretty trippy, man.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Number 6. What would you consider your biggest weakness on the guitar?
Man, I got so many, bro. Where do we start?
Like what's
Well, I have a
something
lot,
that
man. I don't
you
know.
sit back and it bums you out or bothers you that you're not better at this. Like what is that one thing for you? For me, it's finger picking, acoustic guitar.
Oh God,
Like I'm terrible.
dude, finger picking is brutal, man. I think I'm pretty rough on that. I think soloing in general, man. I'm not. I really don't love my like soloing. I don't know. I just don't. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, definitely finger picking. But like, yeah, I think I have a lot of holes in my improvisational thing that I just need to like, which is awesome. It's great to have that. Then you can just work towards something.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, well, we're never done. I mean, yeah, there's always more.
yeah.
Dude,
I'll say yeah.
who's a huge influence on your guitar playing that maybe everybody would be surprised to hear is a big influence
Oh,
of yours?
ooh, be surprised. Let me think. Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they'd be surprised, but one of my favorite people growing up was Jeff Lee Johnson.
Oh yeah, yeah, hell yeah,
And I just felt like kind of like the combination of like this, like the fire of Hendrix, but with like this high level of improvisation and just reckless abandon too.
yeah. And that's a guy who I don't. So I'm not surprised that you would say that. But a lot of
Yeah,
guys who are watching this won't even know who he is, and that's he's a guy that people need to know. You know.
they need to know. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder if one I don't. Maybe Johnny Marr. I don't know. I'm big into like that type of music too. That. Yeah, I don't know. I got so many great people, man. It's
Dude, with the
amazing.
parts, man. Johnny Marr with the parts. He got the
Parts,
parts.
man. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Unbelievable. All right, that's a good one. Jeff Lee Johnson. People need to look him up if you don't know.
Please, please.
All right. Would you rather have on a gig situation? I already know your answer, but would you rather have a great guitar and a shitty amp, or vice versa? A great amp and a shitty guitar.
Oh man. Actually, I don't know. Neither. No, probably the guitar, man. I don't know. What would you say?
Oh, the amp. I need the better amp for sure.
You need a better.
Yeah.
What about the tuning? Like, if the
I'll
guitar
make
is.
it work. I'll make it work. It could be the
Oh,
worst guitar in the world. If I can get a decent amp tone and have the headroom I need, I'll make that
that's
work.
true.
As opposed to like having even my guitar through the worst sounding amp ever will be a horrible gig.
Oh yeah, that's true. I guess you're right. Yeah, yeah, that
But
makes
it's been
sense.
split. Everybody, it's been about 50-50 with everybody I ask. A lot of the guys are very driven by the actual instrument they play, so they can't do the gig without that guitar. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I played some crap guitars in my life, man. Like, shit.
Right. By the way, what would you consider? What's your main guitar these days?
Um, I still really veer toward a Telly. I think that Telly is like kind of my favorite guitar. Um, but I've been playing the Strat a lot more recently in the last couple of years, man. I have this Nash Strat I really like, and just feel like it works for a lot of things, you know. But yeah, I would say that for sure.
Nice.
Now that one of those Josh Williams
Yeah.
Mockingbird, that is crazy, bro.
Yep.
Woo,
That's a
so
good friend
nice.
of ours who makes incredible semi-hollow style guitars, Josh Williams. You should
Woo,
check them out if you're in the market for a guitar like that.
it's incredible.
Yep, we both have one and they're really great. Uh Number 9. What keeps you motivated, man, to like keep growing as a player and working on new things? It'd be easy, and you're not easy, but whatever. You're a busy guy, you work a lot. Who knows how much free time you have to, shed some new idea or work on your facility or something. So what keeps you doing that, and interested and pushing forward to be better?
I think a lot of it goes back to what we were talking about, man. I really I think my idea of music is always changing, man. Like I think to sit and listen, you have a different approach than when you sit and play. The way way things hit you or impact you. Um, a lot lately, I've been really into like lyrics and breaking down songs and like, man, why do they write that way and why do they do it this way? I just feel like it's almost like you're given a gift that keeps like showing you new sides. You might know the song forever, but you never listen to the words. And then, oh, then
Right.
you never listen to the bass line or you start doing more production. You're like, how the hell do they EQ that, man? How do they get the kick to sit here and the bass to sit here and the guitar to sit here? So that same song that you've heard for 20, 30 years that you thought you love it even more. And I
Yep.
think that's the exciting thing about music and guitar is that it's constantly just unlocking other things and excitement is built into it, you know? And I don't know. I really am I feel like I'm more inspired today than I've ever been, which is
Yeah.
fucking weird, bro.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, and it's part of our personalities. It's the reason we do this. Is the spark just keeps getting relit, and it's the same feeling you have when you're a kid. That when I
Yep.
learned how to twist these EQs and do what I get them
Woo!
to do what I want to do, it was almost as exciting as when I learned how to play this scale over that chord or whatever.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And like you said, when you listen to a tune now, you may be hearing it in a whole new way because you have a whole new set of skills that you have to do and things you're learned but it all rolls into that same package, the musician, the life that we live and the things we do. And yeah, so it's never ending. The inspiration just keeps coming from somewhere.
Yeah, man, it's amazing, man. I'm
Yeah.
super thankful, super grateful, bro. It's gonna be happier, man.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to number 10 then. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Are you a guy who has a list of shit that you want to accomplish or things you want to do, or is it more like, just keep growing and kind of go with the flow? Cuz I'm a guy who has things that I concretely want to I want to make that happen.
Yeah,
Whether it's I want to get this much better, not this much better, but I want to learn this, and I also want to achieve this. I can't help but have those goals in mind. How's it work for you?
I'm the same. I think it's probably a blend of the two, man. I definitely have goals, and you know, I think a couple years ago I had to let go of this thing that because I didn't reach some of the ones that I thought I would by this time, you know. So now I've kind of mellowed out on myself a little bit, and I'm enjoying the journey or the process, whatever they say. But I still do have some definite goals and some things I would like to achieve and reach, and um, but I'm a little bit less hard on myself in terms of that, you know, because I think that kind of messed me up a little bit for a little while. So I'm finding ways to balance it out, you know.
That's
But
funny,
yeah,
man. The reshuffling of the goals, the ones that you
yeah,
don't achieve, and that bother you, but then you realize you've achieved all these other goals that weren't even goals at the
yeah.
time you set those first ones, and you're always just it's shifting, between new goals and new things, and yeah.
I agree, man. It's very weird. I think this the last couple of years have been like more strange for me, just in terms of that, you know.
Oh
But
yeah.
I see my
Well, if
in
you
five
asked
years,
me
I see
5 years
myself.
ago, 5 years ago, I was super pissed about all these things that I still are still on my list from when I was 13. Like, what do you mean I haven't been on the cover of fucking Guitar Player yet? Jesus Christ,
Which that's
But
crazy. That's a tragedy, bro.
I never even been in Guitar Player. Not once. Not once.
What? Are you kidding
Yes.
me?
So if you're watching Guitar Player, come on.
Oh,
Here I am.
bro.
But anyways,
Man, we about to start a riot over here. I'm saying I do have a big pet peeve with that, man. Like I feel like, man, I love my heroes, bro, that I grew up with. I love them, and I think I hold them high in esteem. But man, do they have to be on the cover of Guitar Player every fucking year? Like
every year you got your Jimmy issue, you got your
bro, I got
Stevie
a
Ray
Jimmy,
issue, your
I got a
Randy
Jimmy
Rhodes
tattoo.
issue.
Bro,
Yeah. Yeah.
come on, man. I believe in them. I'm like, I'm bad. But God,
I
come
know.
on.
I know. I know. I know.
That's the
Now we sound.
craziest.
Now everybody. I'm gonna get the comments. Cranky as
I
shit.
can send them to me, man. That's it's just crazy to me because I think that it's the we're moving forward. Things are it's just crazy. I don't know.
Well, it was funny as a kid to me. It's not the same anymore, but it was always most important to me not to make a bunch of money or be famous or anything, but to be like a real guitar player, like be in
Yeah,
the magazines and have other guitar players care. That was
yeah,
all I cared about. So that was always at the top of my list. Like I got to be on the cover of Guitar Player magazine one day.
yeah, man.
But you never know.
Oh,
I'm only 41. Maybe when I'm 60 or 70, we'll see. I still got
and
my
it'll be every year.
subscription.
That's amazing. Oh yeah,
Oh
I love the
man.
Guitar Player magazine, bro. That's crazy. Yeah,
Dude, I've
that's
had a
gotta happen.
subscription since I was 10, I think.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You never stopped it.
No.
Whoa, that's amazing, dude. You have some like classics.
Oh, I've got boxes and boxes full of them. Yeah.
That's killer, man.
Yeah.
You know when they had
Yeah.
the little records behind? Was it when they had the little like
Absolutely.
to pop out the record, put it on the
Yeah, the sound page. Yeah.
sound page? Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Oh
the first time
man.
I heard Eric Johnson, Steve
Yep.
Morse.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, they have all sorts of guys on that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Dude, well, we made it to the end of the 10 questions. There will be links to everything Tim Stewart in the body of this video in the description. So please support Tim. I know he's got lessons on jam play, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have links to that. And buy his music, man. Buy the band Knives and go see Tim when he's on the road. If you're not a ruler or a subscriber, you should be one. So please hit subscribe or join. And if you are, we're going to do the turn 2 video. Tim, go grab a guitar and we'll be right back for that. But dude, thank you for doing this, man. A pleasure to talk to you. And I hope we get to hang soon.
Let's
We
do
don't
it.
hang enough.
I know, man. We gotta go to tacos and beer, bro.
Yeah, yes, we do.
I'm down.
All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. And for the rulers, we'll be right back.
Peace out.
Yeah, man.